Welcome to the Empowered, Not Impaired podcast. My name is Mike Ciavallino, and I'll be your host. The Empowered, Not Impaired podcast is for parents of special needs children and their lifelong quest for a better life for their children, their families, and themselves. As a dad of triplets, two of whom are on the autism spectrum, and author of the forthcoming book for parents of special needs children entitled Super Parent, I'll be your guide on this incredible journey. Each week, we will look at the positive views of having a child or children with special needs, as well as the significant work that still needs to be done. We will blow up the myths about what people with special needs can and cannot do, while destigmatizing every decades-old fallacy along the way. Having a special needs child in your life is not a detour. It is the life you were meant to live. Let's do this together. And welcome back to another episode of the Empowered, Not Impaired podcast. My name is Mike Ciavallino. I am super excited. In fact, I've been excited all week about this show. I'm really pleased to welcome to the podcast Tyler McNamer. He is an author, speaker, and CEO of Autismworks. Tyler McNamer is an international best-selling author, speaker, and CEO. He was diagnosed with autism at 2 years old and was completely nonverbal until the age of 6. At 12, he began speaking in full sentences. Tyler overcame adversity and triumphed against all odds and captured his story in his best-selling book, Population 1, Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed. He wrote this book, folks, at the age of 17. But I'll tell you this, Tyler did not stop there. He just recently released his second book, Becoming One, Autism, Adolescence, and Transition to Adulthood. It's not on my bookshelf yet. It will be very soon. A sequel that picks up where Population 1 left off, inside the mind of autism. Tyler and his work inspires thousands and sparks a new narrative of autism, from transforming disability into a unique ability. And man, do we need more of that. As Tyler so brilliantly puts it in his second book, I am not an autistic writer. I am a writer with autism. Please welcome to the podcast, Tyler McNamer and his dad, Jody McNamer. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Jody, so much for coming on. I know our audience is super psyched to hear from you today. So if we could just sort of start at the beginning, Tyler, if you could tell us a little bit about your autism story and when you were diagnosed and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was, like you said brilliantly, I was diagnosed at the age of 2. The only story I can really think of that's brief enough for the podcast is that after the diagnosis, we assembled a team of teachers, therapists, and doctors to help out on what was going on and going through school. The way I kind of like to see it as more because I'm a really big, huge comic books guy, and they like the Justice League and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of just assembled a bunch of teachers, therapists, doctors, and even classmates, and pretty much everyone in the community. It kind of feels like a big superhero team, kind of helping out with me, and every day I'm always so appreciated. So it is definitely not a solo journey in the world of autism, because you're a part of the team too. And the thing that I always say that I've always encouraged when it comes to having autism is that you make the choice of accepting the help too, because it's going to be really beneficial in the end and in the upcoming future. Sorry, in the future actually, but it's like a team. It's such a fun journey in that sort of area too. So that's why I kind of look at it that way. It's like the Avengers or Justice League, assemble that kind of stuff, and it all worked out to good. We saved the day.
Fantastic. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about, what some of the bigger challenges in your life were when you were growing up?
Sure, absolutely. It's a very honest question. One of the biggest challenges I can think of is simply being the man of the house, because a while ago, my parents were kind of separated at a younger age, and the thing that's really quite common when it comes to autism is the event of change, sudden change, kind of stuff. And when it's something so big as that, I don't want to talk about too much, but when something so big as that's the change of routine, something that just goes horribly wrong, and so that's when the things get so chaotic. You're just so used to the routine of every day, and all of a sudden, snap, just it's like something goes horribly wrong, and that was one of the challenges too. But that's not the only thing too. But school was, at the time, kind of difficult in many occurrences. Many occurrences were really good, but school was kind of the heart. I was generally known as the oddball of the community. Social situations were never really one of my greatest strengths. In all honesty, I would lose or forget my words easily I would, many times I would make attempts to impress, especially when it comes to the opposite sex, but I would just end up flat out embarrassing myself, though it's one of those things where there are so many mistakes that I've kind of made that I kind of just want to just rub it off and just kind of say, have this the screw it, I'm going to do it anyway mentality kind of thing. Because I was kind of raised to just keep on going. I never was the giving up type and that kind of thing. But it was kind of tough, school, and also especially at summer school too, where not only the kids but also the staff members, they weren't really quite the best and that kind of stuff. I don't really I am definitely not the kind of guy that likes to the whole guilt trip and all that kind of stuff. I'm definitely not that kind of guy. I was like, yeah, it happens, but what they say, there is no progress without pain. and I just decided to choose that route.
God bless you for doing that. So why did you write your book, Population One: Autism, Adversity, and the Will to Succeed?
Well, the biggest secret into writing the book that I've always feel like it's kind of important was I wrote it in hopes of simply to make friends at school. that is how difficult it was for social situations and talking to one another. That stuff really terrifies me, and I kind of figured maybe I can just write a book and just be like, yeah, and be like, hey, yeah, hey, I wrote this. Can I join your group? That kind of thing. It's a weird motivation, but I'm always full of odd motivations too. Like I said, I was known as the oddball. I just do things that are just odd, but I had my reasons, and so it's not just in hopes of making new friends. As I kind of wrote it, I kind of feel like that, it's not just in hopes of people to understand me. It came to the point where as I was writing it, I was slowly trying figuring out, learning more about myself, I guess you can say. And I know that sounds really odd.
No, not at all.
Well, it's just saying out loud just feels kind of weird, but it's kind of true. I guess a lot of people with autism would still try to figure out who they are with it and all that kind of stuff, and it's frankly it's kind of a big journey and all that kind of thing too. As I was writing it, I kind of realized, I learned to the point, especially when it comes to teachers, that they too really want to learn more about what it's like to have autism, and they basically kind of just said, hey, you're the only source we got. So we need your information. and
you're a
yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Sure, I'll just keep on doing it, and hopefully make some friends in the process at school. That is.
So let me ask you about that. Well, first I want to ask you this: what is the main message of the book? Who did you write it for? But just following up on what you just said, what was the reception like in school when that book came out?
Oh, that's a brilliant question. Thank you very much for asking. The main message of the book is simply this in 4 words: you are not alone.
No.
And that's kind of the main message I would say. Many people may feel like it was may let me start over. Many feel like it was with the emphasis of population one, because it sounds really lonesome when you kind of put it in that per in that yeah in that sort of way.
Right.
But in reality, it's more of a team effort in the community. I wrote this book not just for young adults out there, young adults for that were in school, like teenagers and all that kind of stuff, but it was more for parents and teachers out there that can be a bit curious about what it's like to have autism. It's kind of interesting too that I kind of wrote the book in hopes for kids, teenagers, and young adults. But as time goes on, I kind of realized that the book was more for parents and teachers too. And I'm not complaining about that. I think that's magnificent. So there's no I kind of just in the end it kind of feels like there's no target audience. It can just be for everyone, and I've got no problem with that. I think it's magnificent, and I'm always thankful every day. So thank you very much for those that read.
You achieve that, though. You have a book now that everyone needs to read or should read, whether or not they think they're impacted by the autism community or not. So kudos to you. Now, I have, as I mentioned to you, I just finished the manuscript of my first book. It was really hard to write. So I want to ask you, what was your journey of, you're 17 years old now. What was your journey of putting that manuscript together? Did you sit down and write every single day? What was the writing process like? Tell me about putting that book together.
Well, yeah, that's a great question. Thank you very much. It's not every day that people get to ask about the writing process. So yeah, I'll have to think quite hard on this. Okay, I thought about it. So the writing process, I would say, is that I like to think. This is the way I kind of think too. Is I don't really think of myself as the smartest kid in school and all kind of stuff, because as the oddball, I kind of just because the way I kind of see it is, it's like it's like if people say hey Tyler, fetch, and I'm like, okay. And, that's a kind of thing too. But in terms of writing, it's true where it's like I just don't really think that much. I kind of just sit on my desk and just do it. And
Didn't judge what you wrote. You just made sure you showed up and put it down, right?
yeah, just made sure I showed up and just put it down and all that kind of thing too, because my office is literally like a foot and a half away from my bed, and and I kind of just go over there and just type it out, all that kind of stuff. And also music too music is fuel for the process as well. Music kind of helps you not think as much, and it just goes in automatic mode and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of do it from there. I used to be a freelance DJ back in middle school and high school too. So that's why the music library and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of easy to plan it out and just make it into autoplay. And also just the radio feature in Napster, where you can just do that and don't even think about what you do, and just go with it and all this kind of thing. I also try to do at least one chapter, or even at least half a chapter a day too. And the process was very long and very slow, but I also had some priorities too, like spending time with my family and my other job as a maintenance worker over at the bookstore as well. So it's all that kind of stuff, and school especially too. School is also very important. Whoops, let me fix that there. There we go. And so yeah, no, it was a long process, and I always say this very lightly, is that anything can be achieved. They are extremely difficult, but never impossible. That's a kind of mentality I've always to say too, because it's true. It's like even if it takes like a year or 3 years and all that kind of stuff, because writing a book can take quite a long time, and but but the end is there. It's it's as hard to get started as it is to finish, that kind of thing. It's a journey, and a lot of us really enjoy the journey.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I appreciate you did. And you've written what I consider to be a top 3 book, a book that'll be on everybody's nightstand, and a book that everyone can't wait to share with other people in the community, which you could count me among those.
Thank you very much. I'm very flattered.
So now you've just released your second book, Becoming One. I can't wait to read this. Autism, Adolescence, and Transition to Adulthood. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about book number 2?
Yeah, absolutely. So Becoming One was a passion project. I failed. The one thing that excuse me, let me start over. I set a goal in the first book, and that goal was to release this book before graduation. I failed to do that. It was a week late, and the reason why I wanted to publish it before graduation was simply because I wanted to share it with my classmates. And if it's a week, and when it was a week late, I never got that chance. I never got that chance to figure out if they even checked it out or anything like that. So I never know. But Becoming One was more of a passion project because in a way, Becoming One was an act of redemption, I guess you can say, as well. The book takes place after high school. No more childhood innocence. It is all about what it's like to have autism as you transition to adulthood. And I've always been an adventure kind of guy. So I always find it that's everything changed, and people have changed. People I've grown to know are now gone, and everything changed, all that kind of stuff. And like I said before, when it comes to big change, it just ends up into chaos, and resulting and even though when something has changed like that, that results in the possibility. It is the result of finding new purpose in that kind of way too. So that's why that's what Becoming One is kind of about in that sort of sense. So Becoming One isn't just about what it's like to have autism. It is about how to negotiate with it and finding your own light in the world.
Would you say becoming independent?
Yeah, I was going to say I felt incredibly. It's okay. I'm sorry about that. I interrupted, but I was going to say, the final part was I felt incredibly sad when the book was completed, because I've always enjoyed the Maturity project. That's the kind of way I've kind of was, and the part where it's like you just know it's done, and there's nothing you can add. So that's why I kind of felt sad that it's got that was complete. Sad that it's done, and also happy and satisfied that it's complete and all that kind of stuff too. So that's that's the whole point of Becoming One is finding your own light in having autism, and learn how to negotiate with it and turn it into a superpower.
That's fantastic. That's a book that's really needed by so many people. So thank you for writing it. And I know so many of us are looking forward to reading it. So now, with 2 published books under your belt, can we rightly call you a career author? Will you be writing your desert island days, maybe in the Caribbean someday, just you and your laptop cranking out books?
That is an excellent question. No one has ever asked me that before until just now. So I thank you very much. That was really good. Thank you.
Well,
very
I'm
much.
an author, so I want to ask you about writing. I'm as curious about your writing as I am about everything else you're doing.
Oh yeah, no, it's really great and fantastic. So thank you very much. So where did there we go. So one little thing too is I grew up with a lot of scripts, that kind of thing too. Like even in middle school, I carry a notebook too that with me, so it helps me find my words and that kind of thing. So whoops, where'd it go? Oh, excuse me. So yeah, that's a very good question. I apologize. So I feel like that writing 2 books was just enough for now, at least. At the time being, it's like I always they call these 2 books as pet names. As it's called the first one, and then the last one. Get emphasis as the one part. So first one and last one. So no, and it's just I think 2 books is enough. However, at the moment, if I wanted to do go back to book writing, I might give the 5 prototype stories a good go, and the 5 prototype stories are featured in Becoming One, and they are unfinished. The reason why I made them unfinished is because I like to what I like to call play with the audience or play with the readers into making them think. And the reason why they are unfinished is because I kind of wanted to have the readers kind of figure out where the story goes from there too. So because I used to write stories way back in the day because I've always enjoyed writing stories when I was very young, and a lot of things I've written were not really meant to be taken that seriously. They're just kind of more for fun therapy, I guess you can say too. Just the opportunity of writing and next to playing baseball and all that kind of stuff too. So that's why I kind of figured, when I start writing again. That's right. It's not if, but when I start writing again, I might give those 5 prototype stories a good go, featuring Becoming One.
Well, I hope that you do. And with nearly 1 million copies sold and an international bestseller status from your first book, I'm sure your publisher is anxious to have you write someone too.
Well, it means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
So you talk a lot about what it's like to have autism, which is a perspective that most people do not understand or have. Why is this important for parents to know while raising a child with autism?
I feel like it is important to know the backgrounds of children when parents know when they need some extra help. I do think it's really important to know the background and all that kind of thing. It's just like, because my mom, she said, hey, I think our boy needs some extra help. Just that's how much we care and all that kind of thing. It's important to know that kind of stuff, but it's also very important to treat children with autism as if they do not have it. If you think about it, they're your children. Just raise them however you want, while having some extra tools and strategies to help make it all workable. And so, most importantly, children want to make their parents happy and proud. The majority of people with autism, want to make their parents proud and happy, and they are, quite frankly, really desperate to make it happen too. So it's always important to kind of let them know that they are proud of you. The parents are proud of their kids too, and it's always those kind of things. Like a good example too is that my dad also for the very longest time, he doesn't really treat me as someone with autism. He just treats me as a son and all that kind of thing too. And even when there comes some moments where I've been pushed to more limits, they were just more tests, and when things don't seem to be work out the way that we planned, we just have to go back the small tiny steps, and then we get to the point where we can go to an arcade together too, because as much as arcades are super fun, at the time they were not as quite fun. Just the noise and just a bunch of
stimulation
and all that kind of stuff. And and the part is that the thing is that I really wanted to stay in the arcade. I really do. It's just I couldn't get there yet. It's just have to go back and start over and all that kind of thing. I always kind of think of it as kind of like think of it as terms of a video game and all that kind of thing. The final boss, you're just not there yet. You just gotta level up until you're until
Great
you're
analogy.
57 or something like that, and then you're fully ready to take on the dragon.
Well said. That's beautiful. You mentioned on your website that your goal is to transform the label of disability into unique ability. So first, let me tell you how powerful I think that is. And can you talk about that concept a little bit for our listeners?
Sure, absolutely. I just want to say here too that I feel like I'm not different compared to a lot of other organizations out there, because the one I like to start with is that everyone has a weakness. Whether you have autism or otherwise. I would occasionally say that when I'm on tour is simply this in 4 words, and that is simply this: never diss your ability. And there are there are a lot of great terms out there, such as true ability and all ability. I know I've seen a bunch of organizations that have actually used those terms, true ability and all ability, and I think they are really great. And so we decided to be different for the sake of diversity, and went with unique abilities. And defining autism is a lot like this: so much potential, difficult to get out. That's why we have a team. That's why we have a team to expose it and for the world to enjoy it.
Love that. That's profound. That's beautiful. And so easy to rally around a concept like that. So second book done, DJ, school. What's next for Tyler McNamer over this year, if you know, and maybe next year?
Yeah, well, I don't do much DJ stuff anymore. That was just more of a fun little school thing on conference.
Sure.
But hey, maybe I might save up for a turntable or a drum set or something like that too. But most of the time, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just doing it anyway. that's the kind of stuff I've always kind of picturing that kind of stuff. Is, most of the time I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do it anyway. And no. But the thing is that next to running the company Autismworks with my team, currently working on the audiobook for Population One. And the reason why is by popular demand. It's by what they call consumer demand, that kind of thing too. So,
are you reading it?
yeah, I'm currently reading it.
Cool.
It's still in the works, and
you make more of the audiobook too, author to author here. So
yeah, absolutely too. So consumer demands. It's it feels weird. It kind of reading a book that you've written as a teenager, because you kind of realize the two books, be it Population One and Becoming One. It's like a different style of writing, all kinds of stuff too. One written by a young teen, the other written by a young adult. So it's really quite interesting too. It's for that kind of journey as well. Currently doing that with the audiobook. It's working pretty good. And next to that, I'm also just signing books and and speaking in front of people. In fact, also that's coming out pretty soon. I got an upcoming speaking engagement in Arizona next month too. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I've never been to Arizona too, and so I'm definitely gonna be wearing a lot of white, and probably with a turban or something like that too, just to protect myself too, and all kind of thing. I also got cowboy hats upstairs too, because I might do something like that with a bandana or kind of thing. Anyway, it's going to be pretty fun. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to that. And
maybe go with the turban cowboy hat combo.
Yeah, exactly too. I've been a big Western fan for quite a while too. So it's going to be pretty fun. And also, during my spare time, I like to do video production for fun. I always, I really want to try computer animation for the first time. So just simply all for the thrill of the challenge. And even though I'm not really that popular online, but I just kind of like to do it just for fun. It's just for a good challenge for the hobby of it. But yeah, so far it's just kind of, yeah, those are my goals at the moment for the future.
That's fantastic. That sounds like a great future. I hope you get out to New Jersey to do a speaking gig somewhere. In fact, I'm going to personally look for one for you and be in touch with you and your dad about it, because I'd love to have you out here and meet you in person. Could I ask Jody a quick question?
Sure, yeah.
So could you put into words what it's like, to witness Tyler's accomplishments in writing 2 books, and sort of what that means to you, and any message you have for other parents with autistic kids out there?
Yeah, great question. I
Sorry to
think,
put you on the spot.
no, not at all. I think, really it's one word, and the word would be humbling. We've literally, we've done hundreds of these kinds of shows. I actually maybe even approaching 1,000, but not quite there. But if you combine speaking engagements and interviews and television, all those things, and I still, every time that we do a show like this, you, as a parent, you can't help but get emotional.
Yeah, I'm emotional here.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, right? Is that, as parents, if you if you're a father, a mother, a grandmother, grandfather, and you have your child, that's on the spectrum, you kind of know what I'm talking about, right? Because it's, sometimes you're just hanging on for dear life, right? And as I take a look at Tyler and where he's come from, where headbutting and biting other kids and eating staples, it's just like, you never know how it's all going to turn out. And had you told me back then, what I know now, that we would be on this amazing show, I would have said, well, man, my son can do anything that he wants to. But also at the same time, from a pure practical standpoint, there was a very high likelihood, because quite frankly, we were told by almost everyone that would not be the case. And so as parents, we just always looked at, how can we just provide the very, very best framework of success, for Tyler, a team, making sure that we gave him the opportunities, and was able to work on helping to desensitize, all of the stimulus and everything. And once we started making those steps, it just takes what it takes. And so I'm probably off on a tangent here, Michael, but it really is. It's humbling. Yeah, it's humbling, and it's amazing. So I guess my advice to parents would be, hey, you never know how it's going to turn out. So you have to just keep going. You just have to keep going. And, and Tyler is no different than, your son or your daughter. His unique abilities just happens to be writing, and now the ability to actually speak, in front of tens of thousands of people. And that's one of the things I really, really appreciate about Tyler is that he's just so gracious, right? And just genuinely wants to help. He's just, absolutely amazing young man.
Yeah, I'm very flattered. Thank you very much, Dad. It means a lot to me.
Hope all you parents heard that out there. If not, we're going to replay this episode 100 times.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say too that there was this one saying that said I just heard a bunch of times. It's like it's a time for optimism, but it's not the time to stop. And I've always kind of thought about that as I was hearing that, and it's kind of the same thing, basic scenario too of parenting with someone with autism. And I'm not the kind of guy that feels like I have to tell parents what to do and all that kind of stuff, because it just feels wrong. Because for one thing, I'm not a parent myself, and two, we don't believe in shoulds. We believe in tries. So just try this or try this strategy and not do this strategy. We don't do that. We just give it a try, and if it works, perfect. If it doesn't, we'll try something else.
You may not be a parent, but you hit on something there super important. I think I'll go into either one of my children's rooms, and I'm wondering, what are they thinking? What are they sad about? What are they anxious about? What's going? Because I can't get inside their head. I can't do that as much as I'm trying to read the room. It's not always easy. And plus, as you know, a teenager, he wants to keep his cards close to his vest about, how he's feeling. He's not necessarily going to let on. So I think you have a tremendous perspective, even though you're not a parent.
Well, thanks. I've been living with my dad and my mom for a long time, so yeah, it's those little bits and pieces here. So thank you very much. Yeah, I can definitely learn from all parents too, perspective as well.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
So where can our listeners go and buy Population One, the first one, and Becoming One, the current last one?
Yeah, so feel free to check out those two books at first one and last one at our website at www.autismworks.com, and the books are available for purchase. The very neat part about purchasing at the website is that every one of those copies will be hand signed by me. And so that's like a bit of a big bonus for those who purchase it from the website. Yeah, you can purchase them at Amazon, but would you want a signed copy?
Yeah.
Feel free to stop by. I'm always ready. Keeps me busy, and gives me some excuse to watch movies and listen to music while I do so.
Well, we're not going to deprive you of that. And, I always feel like reading a book is having a conversation with that author.
Yeah.
So with the signature on it, you get, it's like you're right there in the room.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of wrote the last one as if I'm talking to someone too. So that feels really nice to kind of talk to someone too. And so yeah, Autismworks, and that's where you can get a signed copy by me. I'm also on all kinds of social media platforms. So don't feel hesitant to reach me out. Even if it's at Twitter at Tyler McNamer. So feel free.
Twitter at Tyler McNamer. You can purchase those books at www.autismworks.com. Tyler's on Instagram. Also, I know this because I think I constantly stalk him. I think he blocked me finally from asking him so many questions. No, I'm kidding.
Whoops, sorry. I didn't.
No, you didn't.
I'm
just a big fan of your content.
Thank you so much.
Tyler McNamer, Jody McNamer, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Tyler, as a dad of 2 kids with autism, I just can't tell you how proud I am of you. What an amazing young man you are. Just kudos to everything you've done. You're a real champion and a hero for a lot of people, even though if you may not want to embrace that, you're just a truly inspirational human being. I look forward to meeting you sometime in the future and hopefully having you on the show again. God bless you both, and thank you so much.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so very much. It was a pleasure. It was a privilege to be on your show, and I had a lot of fun. Spending time with you, and you asked some really great questions that made me think thrice, basically too. It was a lot of fun. So thank you very much for all the kind compliment, feedback, and for having me on the show. It's I really enjoy these kind of things too. It just it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy these kind of things. So thank you very much for having me on the show.
You're welcome. It's certainly my pleasure, and maybe we can all take in a baseball game sometime too.
Oh, absolutely. And when I'm in New Jersey, I'm I'm already looking forward to spending some more time. So yeah, thank you very much again.